Hello boxing fans, and welcome to another post-fight analysis by EBN. And right now I'm going to talk a few fights in this one. I'm going to start with Juan Manuel Marquez versus Fedchenko. And this one was pretty much how we all thought it would be, really. It was pretty much Marquez dominating from start to finish. You know, credit to Fedchenko. He tried to take Juan Manuel Marquez into the trenches throughout the fight. You know, welcome to hell and all that. But it didn't really go to plan. Juan Manuel Marquez was just too experienced. He's a great counter puncher, great boxer. He was just ready for everything, and I think he's ready for the next step in the 140 division now. And I'd like to see him face either Manny Pacquiao, because he always comes in at around 144 pounds, or Timothy Bradley. The other person I do not want him to see fight against is obviously Brandon Rios. We're going to move on to now. Yeah, so Brandon Rios, you know, he robbed one tonight. That's all you can say. Yeah, he got schooled by a very good Cuban boxer, and it took two judges to save his life and save his career. That's what I would say, save his career. But the blueprint's been set now. That's all you need to know. The blueprint has been set. It won't be hard getting matches for Rios. So let's go into this fight. And, you know, really people should have seen this upset on the cards beforehand, because when you're a Cuban boxer and you're fighting all the time against other good boxers in Cuba who happen to be some of the best in the world, hence all the gold medals they bring back from the Olympics, never mind looking at his 200 plus amateur wins, that's not including losses, you've got to realise that this guy can probably handle himself pretty well. The question was, could Bam Bam Rios overpower Abril? But on fight night, you know, he was 20 pounds heavier than him, but the answer was still no, he couldn't overpower him. Moving into the main talking point of the fight now, and you know, Rios was a very slow starter today. He abandoned his jab completely in the parking lot, just walked forward, blocking Abril's combos with his face, and that's fine if you're going to win the fight by KO, but you know, you're running the risk of losing via points if you do that, unless you're a top ranked fighter and you seem to get the points no matter what you do. And another thing would be like Abril would land and enter into a clinch where Rios showed his lack of intelligence and tried to work away inside with one hand. And note to anyone moaning about clinching, the quickest and effective way to get someone to stop clinching is to get your free hand, because you always have a free hand. Get the forearm and not use it to obstruct an airway, like the nose, the neck, the mouth. It will cause panic by making a forced change in the opponent's breathing pattern. The referee will notice this and then split you up. And what Brandon do on the, you know, totally the opposite to this was, he threw a lot of shots that he was attempting to throw inside, which landed on the back, the kidneys, and the back of the head. Also a few on the hips. All illegal shots. So the referee's hardly going to go moan at someone for clinching when the guy's inside throwing illegal shots, is he? And if you disagree with what I've just said about obstructing the airway, I'll give you an example of this. A good one from this fight. When Rios entered into a clinch, Abril was the one who did this. Here's the example. Round 2, 1 minute 16 seconds into the round. Abril puts his forearm into the neck of Rios and obstructs his breathing pattern. The referee runs up, breaks them up again, brings it wide, at which point Abril goes back to landing long shots. Moving on to the next problem. And Rios never threw any combinations in this fight. He showed a lot of naivety. He expected all of his shots, all of these one punches that he was throwing, to land. You know, Abril's moving away from him. He's not the standard Rios fighter who's like 90% of the fighters he's fought just stand there in front of him. You know, Abril was moving away from him. You have to have good movement, cut off the ring, use a jab, work off the jab, throw 2 or 3 shots with the expectation that one of them may miss, and you've got to land 2 or 3 others. He did not do that. If you want me to go into another problem, defensively he had no head movement. His defense was weak. You know, a lot of the shots were getting through, straight through the guard, straight onto his head. He had no head movement. He got tagged all night long by the jab and overhand right. You know, I want to know how these judges actually tried to get away with scoring this fight, because it was so hard to give anything to Rios. I mean, round 1 was supposed to be one of the most competitive rounds, and Rios landed 1 clean shot in the whole round. I think Abril landed like 40 shots. It's a joke. There's a tactical problem for you. He didn't listen to his corner at all night. You know, his trainer's supposed to be trainer of the year, right? Now, if I was him, if I was Garcia, I would not want to train Rios after this, because the guy doesn't listen. Rios needs a humility lesson, and I think the loss would have done it. But obviously, it wouldn't have been a good business sense, that would it? And this is my last hating point on Rios right now. If you just look at round 5 is all you need to see in this fight. This was Rios' most active round, and he threw loads of shots in this round. He tried to tee off on Abril. You know, on Abril, he blocked almost every shot with his defence. He had his right hand, I think it was his right hand, just held by his chin. Every shot landed on the glove. Every single shot. And the other ones that didn't land on the glove landed on the back of his head. You've got to look at this. Then what else happened then? Abril came back, landed some snapping jabs and a few uppercuts of his own, right on the chin. It was a disgrace how they scored this fight. This is now my rant on promoters. The business side of boxing is sucking the life straight out of it. You see, I'm going to go through a few fights and how close they were in reality and how wide they were on the judges' decisions, which shows it doesn't matter what really happened. The winner was already set. Danny Garcia versus Eric Morales. There was 1 or 2 rounds in there in that whole fight, I thought. I had Garcia winning the fight, but I thought it was a close fight. It turned out Morales never won a round on one scorecard. What's that about? I'll give you another example. Molina versus Kirkland. Quite similar to this one in reality, isn't it? How close was that fight? As a few judges had it close. It was not close. Molina won almost every round, except for the round where the knockdown was, and let's be honest, even that was a disputed knockdown. Moving on again. Arthur Abraham versus Peter Wilchelski. Wilchelski, I thought, made that fight very close. He landed the quality. He landed not the quality, but he landed the quantity. It turns out he never won a round in that fight. And then today, it didn't look like Rios solidly won a round in that fight, and apparently he won by a margin of 5 or 6. I don't understand it. Someone has to do something about this. And let me tell you, none of these fights will be investigated. No, none of these fights ever get investigated. Who's going to investigate them? Top Rank? No. The WBA, are they going to investigate it? No. They sanctioned it. They're not going to investigate anything. They got the judges. They're not going to investigate them. There needs to be a new governing body, higher than the rest, who does all of this, because it's a disgrace and it's destroying the sport. Okay, so where do these boxers go next? Well, like I said, I'd like Marquez to fight. Probably Timothy Bradley. I'd like to see that fight. Fedchenko, I don't know, he can go anywhere he wants from here really. He's done himself more of a justice in this fight by staying with it. Rios, probably, unfortunately, he's going to end up fighting Mike Alvarado, is that his name, yeah? Alvarado's not going to spring any differences in his game. He's not going to take advantage of the blueprint set forth by Abril here tonight. He's more of a come forward slugger, and unfortunately he's going to work straight into the hands of Brandon Rios. Okay, so tell me what you think about this farcical fight. Tell me what you think about the better Marquez fight, and tell me where everyone should go from here.